Seeing how it's snowing outside my house right now, I thought I'd put together a tutorial for my snow bases. Most of my armies are based on these, and I found they look great with a variety of schemes, from the blues and golds of my Ultramarines to the drab greens and browns of my Valhalla and Imperial Guard. First off, you'll need a plastic base. Any size will do, but for this we'll be doing a 25mm round. Next, you'll need the, well, base of the base. PVA glue, ballast or basing sand, and some cork. Me, I use corks from bottles because I enjoy my adult beverages, but you can use cork from a corkboard too. As for the ballast, I use Woodland Scenics in a mix of fine, medium, and coarse ballast, but there are a number of other manufacturers out there too. Next, we'll need black spray primer, any will do, and these Citadel paints: Rhinox Hide, Steel Legion Drab, Carrick Stone, Eshin Grey, Dawnstone, Agrax Earthshade, and Ceramite White. Finally, we'll need Snowflock. I use Woodland Scenic Snow in that little Gale Force 9 puck, but Gale Force 9 is the same stuff for more money, and GW makes their own too. You'll also need an old brush or spreading tool to spread the glue and ballast around, and an old brush or dry brush to actually paint the base. Don't use your detail brushes on this one. I always assemble my model first, then apply the basing material before doing anything else. First, get your PVA glue on a sort of pallet. I use this plastic container that I keep my basing grid in. Then, using an old brush, mix in some water so it flows a little better. Once you've got the glue down, dip it in your basing material and shake off any excess. I'll then take my cork pieces, which I've cut up randomly with a hobby knife, dip them in glue, and then place them on the base. It's a good idea to dip the base in the grid again to fill in any gaps with a rock and make it look more realistic. It's an optional step and not one I do on every base, but I like the effect. I always run my finger around the edge and take off any ballast that spilled over. Now, we'll wait for this to dry, which should be about an hour. With the base dry, we'll hit it up with some black spray primer. I use Krylon's matte primer, but any hardware store should have something comparable. The spray should also help seal in the grit. We'll give that a while to dry, as breathing in all those aerosol fumes isn't my idea of a good time. After about 24 hours, this shouldn't smell so bad, so I'm going to hit up the base with a coat of watered down black. This is optional, but it fills in any cracks where the primer might have missed it. It's not unusual for some grit to come off at this stage, but that's okay. Just wipe it off on a napkin and keep going. Next, we hit it up with another watered down coat, this time of Rhinox Hide. This is the same intent as the black, and I get the base rim too. When that's dry, it's time for a heavy dry brush of Steel Legion Drab, and then a second dry brush of Carrick Stone. That's the ground texture done. The rocks are a simple but optional addition. I first paint these in Eshin Grey to get a base coat down. Next, I'll follow that up with a dry brush of Dawnstone. An Agrax Earthshade wash comes next, darkening the stone and giving it some interesting shading. Finally, I'll hit that up with another dry brush of Dawnstone. You could use multiple colors of washes or dry brushes here to experiment and get some natural looking variation, but this is my go-to. Finally, we'll add the snow. Since Snowflock is typically fairly transparent, I like to paint the areas I'm planning on putting it down with some white paint, in this case, Ceramite White. Otherwise, the snow can look muddy or like it's melting. The snow itself is a mixture of PVA glue, water, and snow. You want to mix the water and PVA glue first to get a nice wet glue, and then add Snowflock until you get an almost toothpaste texture. Using an old brush, apply that to the areas you painted white. Finally, pinch some snow onto the wet glue, then tap any excess off the base. This stuff likes to get everywhere, so you might want to hit the model with a blast of compressed air a few hours later. And here we have the end result. While it may seem like a lot of work at first, when you're doing a squad of models at a time and you're doing it on a dozen bases, it goes by pretty quickly. I'd like to thank Firebrand of the Something Awful forums for sharing his snow recipe with me, and I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Thanks for watching my first tutorial video. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and to see more hobby goodness you can subscribe and follow me on social media or support me on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and stay frosty out there.